Hello everyone and welcome to Video Vices, a podcast from Contemporary Research. I'm your host Tyler Kern. Thanks so much for joining me here for this episode of the show. Now, first and foremost, I want to let you know that this is an interactive experience. So if you're joining us live here today, you can drop questions or comments in the comment section there on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll try to answer as many of those as we can here today. Now, our topic for today's show is a discussion of AV over RF, and joining me today are two experts who are going to break all of this down for us and answer all of our questions. First, we have Scott Hetzler. He is the president and chief engineer of Contemporary Research. Scott, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, thanks, Tyler. Glad to be here.
Excellent. We're also joined today by Dan Muckle. He's the president of Muckle Sales and also a sales rep. Dan, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tyler. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Thrilled to have both of you on the show and thrilled to get so much knowledge and expertise here on this topic of AV over RF. So we're going to talk about some of the benefits and also some of the misconceptions that exist in the marketplace. But first, to start off, Scott, can you just give us a quick introduction into the basics of AV over RF?
Okay, that's where basically we deliver the audio and video as standard TV channels on the coax cable that has always been delivered to the back of the TVs. And so, as I like to say it, it's as easy as TV. Connect that cable to TV, do your channel scan, and there's all your channels. And then from there, it's channel up and down, or key in a channel to go to a channel number. It's just that easy. Only nowadays, these channels are completely digital. So that there's perfect clarity, HD clarity, just like as is expected these days.
Dan, is there anything you'd like to add to Scott's comments just on the basics of AV over RF?
Well, one nice thing is really with you can take any type of signal and send that over the coax too. It's whatever signal type you're dealing with, being component or HDMI or SDI, you can use that as well. And you can mix those signals and you have 125 different channels to choose from. So the capability is very, very high.
Yeah, I might add to that within those 125, and actually it's 135 channels these days, that we can get 2 full HD channels within each of those. So easily we can get 270 digital channels or more. And as Dan was saying, these channels can originate in any source. They can be cable channels, and then we add on an SDI channel, such as from a camera, or an HDMI media player, like from a digital signage player, can be brought on and made into a channel.
So Dan, just as a follow-up then, it sounds like what you guys are describing works really well and is something that is incredibly effective. Why is there this perception in the market that AV over RF is an outdated technology?
I think that really, tends from everything going, more in the PC world, more of IP and just networking in general. And the RF, in some cases, a little bit of a lost art, but it's not complicated. It's very easy. There's all this existing cable out there that could be utilized for distribution. And people, we have clients that have a tendency to just want to redo everything because that's what they think the best direction is or the new standard, but it's not necessarily true by any sense of the imagination.
Yeah, Scott, help us correct some of these misconceptions about RF that exist in the marketplace about it being either outdated or, okay, I need to modernize, I need to move to something new. Tell us about why RF is still so viable and maybe correct some of that outdated myth that we're hearing these days.
Well, I agree with Dan that basically IPTV and Cat5 cables have been over-marketed, well-marketed, no doubt, such that customers think that's what they need. But in reality, it's just kind of far overcomplicated, and RF just makes it so easy because it's just that one cable to the back of your TV, and the tuner is built into the TV. That's your decoder. No other hardware is required. No other IPTV decoder box is required outside of the TV. And so that's kind of what adds to the simplicity of it. And even though that coax cable has been around a long time, that's what also makes it great. It's in so many installations now. It's reliable. It is a high bandwidth pipeline. It takes nothing away from your existing computer network to use that computer for delivering data as it's intended. You do not have to involve your IT department or know anything about IP addresses or any of that. But at the same time, we can bring on sources like computers, and we can make their screen like a TV channel too. So it doesn't disinclude networks and TVs by any means.
So then, Scott, it sounds like you're touting some of the advantages there of employing RF in a facility. Walk us through some of those advantages. Like you mentioned, obviously ease of installation and use, it sounds like it is one of them, but what are some of the other primary advantages that you've noticed of employing RF technology?
Well, cost is a huge factor because, as I just said, you don't have to buy an IPTV decoder box for every TV. Which also then simplifies the installation because then you don't have this extra network cable and then also the HDMI cable to go to your TV, as well as then you have to make sure the TV is on the HDMI input so you see the video from the decoder box. So the savings is huge by not having to have this extra hardware.
Absolutely. And Dan, follow up with your perspective on this. What are some of the primary advantages that you've seen of utilizing RF technology?
Well, like Scott was saying, not only the quality of the signal and the programming, but the we can also add the control over that coax at the same time. And that's something that's kind of unique where we can add that between two different channels and control the display at the other end, which, why reinvent the wheel when you already have these displays, have these tuners built into these beautiful HD displays. Just use it and save yourself a lot of money.
And Dan, I wanted to follow up on the scalability of RF. Can you start small and then expand and grow to more channels and TVs at any point? Let's say you're a growing facility or something like that. Is that something that's possible?
Well, there's very few little distance limitations with RF, and it's virtually unlimited how to the number of displays that you can grow this system to, and that's why it's so popular in large venue stadiums like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like the Seahawks, like the Seattle Mariners. There's many stadiums throughout the U.S. that are employing this type of technology.
And Scott, I think sometimes when it comes to technology, people just want to know, is this going to work? Can I rely on this? Talk to me about the reliability aspect of RF technology. Is it something that people can depend on a day in, day out basis?
Yeah, absolutely. It's on 24/7, like cable TV has been around for a long time. If anything, there can be more reliability because there's not this external decoder box that I was talking about, as well as any complications of network infrastructure, all the switches and all the gear necessary to keep networks running.
Dan, any follow-up to Scott's comments?
I think that's spot on what Scott said. I mean, the need to reboot any of these products just happens very rarely. And you can't say that in the IT world by any sense of the imagination. We're not dealing with these switches and, digital IP signals and that sort of thing.
And their distance limitations, yeah.
Exactly.
That's really, really interesting. So Scott, talk me through some of the use cases where RF technology can be used with great success. What are some of the use cases that you're seeing out in the market now, and maybe some potential ones that exist that maybe haven't utilized RF to its full capabilities?
I like to say any facility that has anything more than a dozen TVs or so is a potential candidate for it, from small to hundreds as we see in stadiums. As Dan mentioned, stadiums are probably the largest use case, where in some of these stadiums we have 700 or 800 TVs. And then also another application I know that we have, there's almost like 500 TVs at Maryland Live Casino. So any kind of a sports bar, corporate and government facilities, entertainment venues, like I said, any kind of facility that has more than a dozen TVs or so is perfect. Just hang the TVs.
Dan, what about from your perspective? Are there some examples you can share of places that have really utilized RF well?
Well, one of our largest installations was a corporate client, and they used it just for distributing, television programming throughout the facility. And we see this in factories. We've seen this in, lots and lots of different facilities. It's just a great way to get video, television out throughout the facility, and especially in schools as well.
Oh yeah, forgot that one. Yeah. As well, it has digital signage applications. One of the channels can be a digital signage player, so that a TV can be put on that channel, and it's a signage channel.
That's a really great point. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it from that perspective, but that's an excellent point. And I wonder about deployment. We were talking earlier that many facilities already have RF cable, RF capabilities already kind of built into those facilities. Talk to me about the deployment for RF technology. Is it something that takes a lot of time to deploy? Just talk me through that aspect of things as well.
Basically, we can take that existing cable with all those channels and simply add digital channel modulators to insert extra channels in between, on the places where there aren't already channels. And so then we're just combining or adding more channels onto the system. And as Dan mentioned, these other new channels can be from all sorts of sources, anything.
Coax has been deployed by your satellite providers, by your internet providers, your security providers. It's still heavily used in all new installations and existing installations. So why not take advantage of that system or that cable that's already out there and just take it to the next level?
A reminder to our audience out there, if you have a question or a comment that you'd like to leave for one of these guys here today, drop it in that comment section over there on the right-hand side before we wrap up here today. So, Dan, from what you guys have described and from what our conversation has been so far, it sounds like new technology came along, everyone got excited about it, but really at the heart of things, RF is still a fantastic technology that can serve many different purposes for facilities all across the gamut of industries. And so it sounds like a pretty classic case of something new coming along, everyone getting really excited about it, but hey, don't forget about this technology over here that you may have forgotten about, but is still fantastic and still gets the job done the way that you need and want it to.
It's maybe getting a little bit off topic, but RF signals, over the air, that's moving forward where you're going to get 4K information front to your television set directly from your broadcasters, and that plays nicely into what we're talking about here. And that new standard is ATSC 3.0.
Go ahead, Scott.
And these channels that we're delivering over the cable are just as digital and just as high a resolution as IPTV. I think that's a misconception too, that somehow people think IPTV is better. But in essence, it's the same signal carried over a different medium. And it shouldn't be compared with old analog channels by any means.
Excellent stuff, and great information. I think correcting some misconceptions that may exist in the market, and really explaining some of the advantages and some of the great aspects of utilizing RF. So, guys, I want to give you both an opportunity to give us any closing and final thoughts here today. Either something that you want to leave the audience with, or maybe something we haven't touched on yet. So, Scott, let me toss it to you first, just for any final thoughts or any conclusion statements you'd like to make.
Basically, I don't understand why more people don't do RF systems, because it just doesn't get any easier. It's just the cable to the back of your TV, channel up, down, go to a channel, just as digital, no IT department, no IP, anything. It's always on, no latencies or delays either due to the network. So while we have IPTV solutions, we still much prefer and try to steer people to the RF for simplicity, as well as probably half or a third of the cost as an IPTV system. Oh, and further, another misconception is that coax cable is more expensive, which in reality, it's really not any more expensive for coax cable than Cat5 cable, and it's no harder to pull, and it's no harder to terminate. If anything, coax is simpler. It's just 2 wires, really, whereas cat wires, there's 8 conductors in there that all have to be right. So there's also sort of a cable simplicity too.
Excellent stuff. Thanks for that, Scott. And Dan, before we'll have a question from the audience here, but Dan, let's get your final thoughts here before we hit that question.
I'd just like to say, save your coax.
Exactly.
Evaluate your cabling infrastructure and take a look at doing it this way rather than just throwing out everything and putting in a whole new system. It's going to be more expensive.
So our question here comes from Brad, and he says, "Did you say you can do display control via the RF cable? How? Any added hardware and cost to that?" So, Scott, tackle that question from Brad there for us.
Yeah, thanks for that question. We have some coax controllers that Dan mentioned. It's a simple little box that basically just gets mounted behind the TV, and it comes with a loop through coax cable. So basically, where you would take the coax to the back of the TV to the tuner, instead we go to the in on our box and then loop through the cable to the TV so that all the channels pass right on through, but our box can listen for control signals. And we have control boxes that generate infrared to control a TV that way, or RS-232 for those kind of TVs. And the beauty of it is it's just that easy to install. It's kind of plug and play with no downtime. You can put these boxes behind the TV and not worry about interrupting or messing up your system. And it can be done so quickly. In our system, we support up to 4,000 of these control boxes, so we can control thousands of TVs. We can control them globally, like all of them. We can do them in zones or down to the individual display, any which way. And we have scheduling software so that they could be controlled on a schedule or real time with your phone or iPad or any web-based device. But anyway, yeah, thanks for asking. That's one of our specialties, actually, is the coax control.
Very nice. Excellent question, Brad. Dan, did you have any follow-up on Scott's response there to Brad's question?
No, I think he covered it really well. And would like Scott said, we appreciate the question.
Excellent stuff. So, Scott, if people want to learn more about contemporary research and everything that you guys have going on, where can people go? Where can people find more information and maybe find more information on RF technology and things along those lines as well?
Contemporaryresearch.com. We have an excellent solutions guide that helps show the components in the system. And under the products section, we have modulators, which are what we talked about, that generate the digital channels for RF distribution. We have these TV control, over the coax TV control products, as well as a bunch of different professional grade tuners and some other accessories, but everything's on our website.
There we go. Everything's there on the website. And Dan, tell us more about Muckle Sales and what people can expect and where people can learn more about you.
Well, Muckle Sales, we're a manufacturer's representative. We've been in business for 40 plus years, and we have a long history with contemporary research and believe strongly in the product and have a lot of successful deployments. And the quality and the customer service is just top notch. So we're happy to represent the line.
Excellent stuff. Scott Hetzler and Dan Muckle joining us here on Video Vices from Contemporary Research. Guys, thank you so much for taking some time talking to us today and educating us a little bit more about AV over RF.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tyler.
Absolutely. And everyone, thank you for tuning into this episode of Video Vices. We appreciated having you very much. Of course, make sure you subscribe on Apple and Spotify to stay up to date with the latest episodes. If you miss a live edition of the show, you can catch up there on Apple and Spotify. And make sure to subscribe while you're there. That way you get the latest episodes right there on your device. And stay tuned. We'll be back with much, much more from Contemporary Research, exploring topics much like this one and providing some thought leadership there as well. So stay tuned for that. But for this episode, I've been your host today, Tyler Kern. Thank you all so much for joining us.